Hey guys, welcome back to the Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD walkthrough. This is Chapter 10, Part C. So after you do the stuff on Windfall, you want to go ahead and warp to Tingle Island, and then head west one sector to Rockspire Island, and grab the treasure from treasure chart number 2, which we got for giving our 20 skull necklaces to the rich guy in Windfall. So if you didn't have the 20 skull necklaces, don't worry too much about it. It's not a big deal. You can always get that later, and there will be plenty of opportunities to get skull necklaces in the future. However, you do want to make sure that you have 10 Knight's Crests. I'll be showing a couple places to get the Knight's Crests in this video, and you're welcome to just skip ahead if you already have 10 at those parts, because those parts will be optional. You'll just get some extra rupees, but the Knight's Crest are the important things. You want to have 10 of them. You should have quite a bit. Even after, even if you didn't steal them from the Dark Nuts in Hyrule, you still should have quite a bit of them. So now you want to head warp over to Dragon Roost Island, and then head south one sector. So now we have the fire and ice arrows, we can basically move along with the plot, which is what we're doing now. So one sector south of here is Fire Mountain. And earlier you probably noticed that this mountain was all fiery and you couldn't get near it. Well, now that we have the ice arrows, we can freeze the fire coming out of the top. Yeah, doesn't make any sense, but that's the way the game works. So you want to aim an ice arrow at the top of the mountain, and then we're going to scale the mountain and go in. This is a timed event, so make sure you're ready before you do it, because you'll only have 5 minutes to get the item that's inside. 5 minutes is plenty, but it only allows you to fall off once or twice. And you don't want to be just dallying around. So also watch out for the Cargarok that's flying around. You can use your boomerang twice to defeat him, or just one of your plain old arrows to defeat him. Or, if you feel real torturous, you can use an ice arrow, which will freeze him in midair and then make him drop and crash down to the ground and shatter. So once you get to the sidling part, I recommend just pulling out your Wind Waker, changing the wind, and going over the Deku Leaf, because it's much faster. And then you won't waste as much time on the outside, because there is a little bit to do on the inside. But from there you can just get to the top of the mountain and drop down in the hole. So in here there are some fire keys. Watch out for them. Use your boomerang to defeat them, or your arrows. I find the boomerang better for them, but whatever floats your boat. Then you want to hop across the lava platforms, and there are 2 Magtails here, so if you want to defeat them, I recommend just parrying their attacks. Or you can stun them and just hit them in the ball. Once they're destroyed and defeated, and all the keys are defeated, a treasure chest will appear. So you can open this up for the power bracelets. So the power bracelets will allow us to lift large boulders, much like the one right next to you with the face. And we also need this to get to the next dungeon. So go ahead and lift the headstone, and then exit the area. So once you get the item, the timer will stop, so you don't have to worry about getting out fast. You just have to worry about getting in and getting the item fast. Once you've done that, you want to warp over to Forest Haven, or Southern Fairy Isle, but Forest Haven, I suppose, is closer, or well, they're the same distance. It's one sector to the west of Forest Haven, one sector to the east of Southern Fairy Isle. Whichever one you prefer. So what we're doing now, we're getting another item, much like the power bracelets that we just got, which will allow us to get to one of the next two dungeons. However, we won't be using these to get to a dungeon until next chapter, until chapter 11. So, you don't have to do this now, you can do it after we go through the dungeon here, but I'm getting it now for convenience sake. So then in the next chapter we can just head straight to the dungeon, don't have to worry about doing much. So Ice Ring Isle is pretty much the same thing, except this time you need fire arrows to get in. You want to go ahead and use your fire arrow on the large head statue, and it will dispel the ice. Then you want to sail up. Again, you'll have 5 minutes in here, and this one is a lot harder than Fire Mountain, actually. But one of the first things you'll notice is there's a treasure chest encased in some ice. So pull out your fire arrows and go ahead and free that treasure chest up, and then open it for treasure chart number 36. So if you want, I don't do this in this chapter, I'll do it in the next chapter, you can get this treasure. It's just northeast of Forest Haven. It's just 200 rupees, but if you're in need of rupees for whatever reason, you can go ahead and get that treasure. But I will be getting that in the next chapter. Then you want to go all the way over to the left part of the island, and then start climbing up on the ledges. You'll notice that you'll slide down these ledges, so be careful. Also, the ice physics will have you slide around, so be careful you don't fall off, because you'll have to go all the way back around. Then you want to platform hop, and be careful, because you might slide off after you jump, so make sure you get a good enough running start. Then once you get to the entrance of the cave, head on in. So before you go in this cave, you're probably going to want to equip your grappling hook, because if you fall off, you'll need your grappling hook. So you're on a higher platform. I luckily was able to get it on my first try, which I usually am not. There are some keys in here that will try to attack you, so you kind of want to aggro them right away, get them to come at you, and so they don't knock you off. Because if you get knocked off, you'll have to use your grappling hook to climb back up, and that takes quite some time. So these first two slides are pretty easy. Just make sure you watch out for the keys. But the second slide is always hard. Basically what you want to do is you want to hold, you'll start to slide like to the left right away, so you want to hold right, but then as soon as Link turns to the left, you want to hold right the rest of the way. And hopefully that'll get you down. I usually don't get that on my first try. But anyways, in this treasure chest you get the iron boots, which allow you to walk through wind like over there. And it also lets you step on some platforms, which I'll be demonstrating soon. Anyways, if you don't have the Knight's Crest, I recommend you fall in the hole that's behind the wind, because there is a dark nut down here. There's a bunch of enemies, actually, and they're all frozen in ice, so you can take them on one at a time, but there is a dark nut down here where you can get his Knight's Crest. So if you already have 10 Knight's Crests, I don't recommend doing this because it's kind of a waste of time. It's only for 100 rupees, and we have plenty of rupees, but if you really enjoy killing stuff, you can go ahead and do it. Also, here's a technique for defeating moblins. You can use your ice arrows to freeze them, and then use your skull hammer to bash them. I prefer the old hack and slash method personally because it doesn't use magic, and I'm kind of a conservative in that respect. But if you prefer that way, it's quick and easy. And also, don't forget to steal the skull necklaces if you haven't completed that quest yet. So this is a red dark nut. He's basically the same as a white dark nut that we've encountered so far. He's not going to be he's not going to have any other quirks other than maybe more health, and that's about it. After you defeat all the enemies, a chest will appear with 100 rupees. So then you can just head out of the cave and head back to your ship. So this next part, again, is completely optional. I'll be going over to Shark Island, and the reward is only 200 rupees. So if you are in need of rupees, you can go ahead and do it. But if not, or if you're in need of Knight's Crests and Skull Necklaces, I also recommend doing it. It's basically a kill fest for you. But I sped it up 4 times because it's a lot of enemies to take on, and it still takes quite some time. So you can go ahead and do it if you want to. So if you do want to, you can warp over to Southern Fairy Isle and then head west 1 sector. Then once you get to Shark Island, we can now use our iron boot to step on a switch that's on the, I guess, tail of the shark in Shark Island. And then you have to use your skull hammer to hit another peg that's further up on the island, and then hit a couple more switches, and then hit a diamond switch, and then hit a floor switch. Once you hit all 4 switches in a fast enough time, I mean, you'll see in the video, but once you hit them in a fast enough time, you will reveal the hole that you can drop down. Basically, the enemies that appear, they get bigger as you go, but they're mostly, well, they start out as mini blends, and then they'll come at you with bokoblins, and then moblins, and then finally a bunch of dark nuts. And you'll probably be fighting multiple dark nuts and moblins and wizroads at a time. Forgot to mention wizroads as well. You'll know it's towards the end once you're fighting multiple dark nuts and a gold dark nut at the same time. As well as a red dark nut. So again, all you get is 200 rupees for it, but it's fun, and there are a lot of other caves like that that just aren't really, you know, worth it. But anyways, now we want to warp to Outset Island. So we're getting close to going to the dungeon. So for this next part, you're going to want to have 10 Knight's Crests and at least one thing of bait. Although I screwed up, and you're gonna... I had to go back and get more bait from Beetle. So yeah, the part with the bait is kind of finicky. So you do want to be careful if you have only one bait, and I was not careful enough. So you'll see a cut when we get to that part. But for now, just go ahead and you want to head to Orca's house with your 10 Knight's Crest. Once you're in Orca's house, you can show him the Knight's Crest, and he will teach you a new sword technique called the Hurricane Spin. Now, you can get this later, after the next dungeon, but the best place to use this technique is actually on the boss of the next dungeon, so you probably want it before going there. So basically what you do is you just charge up a spin attack and you'll go all over the place. So it's a really simple technique to use, and it's worth the 10 Knight's Crests. Because you should have 10 after the high roll thing anyways if you've been following the walkthrough, but if you're a couple short, you can get the ones that I showed you earlier in the video. So now you can go ahead and make it daytime if it's nighttime. If it's daytime, it's daytime, so you can continue. And then head up the hill to where the pigs were at the very beginning of the game in Chapter 1. You'll see a very large black pig. I think I pointed him out earlier when we were here too. But now that we have the power bracelets, we can pick him up and take him for a walk. So you can see the cut there in the video. And now I have 3 things of bait. But that's just because I screwed this part up. What you want to do is then toss the pig over the cliff and then carry him across the bridge. The guy was saying he likes to dig, and he will dig for you wherever you put bait. So, and he'll say try digging in black soft soil. So there's one soft soil spot in particular that we want to dig in. And it is the first black soft soil right before or right after the bridge. So you have to stand a little bit back when you throw the bait, otherwise you'll throw it in the wrong spot. But after you do throw it, he'll dig there, and you can go ahead and grab piece of heart number 41, which means there are only 3 left for us to get in the game. So after you do that, we're ready to go to the next dungeon. So now you want to hop in the King of Red Lions and sail one sector to the east, to Headstone Island. So once you're at Headstone Island, you'll see a large headstone there, and you'll want to lift it up and head into the cave. So once you're in the cave, you'll notice there's a large stone tablet. Stand in front of it and pull out your Wind Waker, and you will learn a new song. This is the Earth God's Lyric. And then you'll meet Laroto, who was the old sage of this place before she died, and you'll notice that she's a Zora, which is kind of cool, because there aren't any Zoras in this game. You'd have to figure that the Zoras would be kind of OP in a game filled with water. But she'll tell you to find her ancestor, who should have the same harp as her. So you may have noticed that the Rito girl Medley, who we helped before, has a harp just like that. And yep, that Rito girl Medley is Laroto's ancestor. It's kind of weird to think that the Rito people are ancestors of the Zoras, but that's how evolution happened. So, the Zoras from Ocarina of Time, that is. So now you want to warp to Dragonroost Island, that is. And you can go ahead and climb up, and you'll hear harp music as you're climbing up. So you want to head into the little den area, go to the second floor, and then head out the second door. Use your grappling hook to get across, climb up the ladder, and you'll have to talk to Medley, and then pull out your Wind Waker to conduct for her. Once you do that, just play the Earth God's Lyric, and she will remember who she is. From there, it's pretty easy. You just have to head back to Headstone Island with Medley, and she's going to be a companion character for the Earth Temple. So once you head back and play the Earth God's Lyric in front of the tablet, it'll disintegrate and you can head into the dungeon, which we will take on in part D of this chapter. So I'm going to stop narration a little bit early on this video. I just told you exactly what you're going to see in the video, so you can choose to continue watching if you need more clarification. But I will see you for part D, where we take on the Earth Temple.